Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajadana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari ISKCON Guruvinda Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Tagore Premanande. So there's nothing on Vaishnav calendar today, isn't it? We'll just have a short reading from Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is like continuing our Bhakti program, a little bit of Bhakti program every day. So this is from chapter entitled How to Discharge Devotional Service. The next important items are as follows. One should decorate the body with tilak, which is the sign of the Vaishnavas. The idea is that as soon as a person sees these marks on the body of the Vaishnava, he will immediately remember Krishna. Lord Chaitanya said that the Vaishnava is he who, when seen, reminds one of Krishna. Therefore, it is essential that a Vaishnava mark his body with tilak to remind others of Krishna. 2. In marking such tilak, sometimes one may write Hare Krishna on the body. Even sometimes devotees get tattoos, isn't it? I believe even some have got tattooed tilak, which means you can't really change your mind once that's in there. 3. One should accept flowers and garlands that have been offered to the deity and the spiritual master and put them on one's body. Sometimes someone offers us a garland and we think, oh no, I'm not worthy of it. But actually, it's not that you're being garlanded and being honoured, you're getting the Lord's remnants. You know, if we stand in the queue for prasadam, someone offers a plate, so I'm not worthy of it. It's the same thing, it's Mahaprasad, isn't it? We're getting purified by that. 4. One should learn to dance before the deity, because this is pleasing to the deity. 5. One should learn to bow down immediately upon seeing the deity or the spiritual master. 6. As soon as one visits the temple of Lord Krishna, one must stand up. So there's a bit of combination of bowing down and standing up. This is a common etiquette. If somebody important walks into the room, then people stand up to receive them, isn't it? It's natural. Yes.
I was told that in the Ayurveda, it says if you don't stand up in the presence of respected persons, actually your life here is pushing you up, and if you keep sitting, it's actually very bad for your health. Also, because your life here is pushing you up, you've got to stand up. You press that, it's actually unhealthy.
Right, so it's a natural thing. It's funny because it's there in all the different cultures, isn't it? It's not that we have to be told it. When the deity has been born for a stroll in the street, a devotee should immediately follow the procession. In this connection, it may be noted that in India, especially in Vishnu temples, the system is that apart from the big deity who is permanently seated in the main area of the temple, there's a set of smaller deities which are taken in procession in the evening. So does anybody know what those deities are called? Utsav deities. Festival deities. Utsav also means enthusiasm. So that's combined. When the deities are having a festival, then we should be enthusiastic to follow them. We shouldn't be, oh, there's a deities going by, I'll get it the next time they come round. In some temples, it is the custom to hold a big procession in the evening with a band playing and a nice big umbrella over the deities who sit on decorated thrones on the cart or palanquin, which is carried by devotees. The deities come out onto the street and travel in the neighbourhood, while the people of the neighbourhood come out to offer prasad. The residents of the neighbourhood all follow the procession, so it is a very nice scene. When the deity is coming out, the servitors in the temple put forward the daily accounts before them. So much was the collection, so much was the expenditure. The whole idea is that the deity is considered to be the proprietor of the whole establishment, and all the priests and other people who take care of the temple are considered to be the servants of the deity. This system is very, very old and is still followed. So therefore it is mentioned here that when the deity is on a stroll, the temple should follow behind. So in some places, actually, the deity is considered on the title deeds as being the owner of the temple. Not that it's such and such Das or Goswami. Number 8, a devotee must visit Vishnu temple at least once or twice every day, morning and evening. In Vrindavan, this system is followed very strictly. All the devotees in town go every morning and evening to visit different temples. Therefore, during these times, there are considerable crowds all over the city. There are about 5,000 temples in Vrindavan city. Of course, it's not possible to visit all the temples, but there are at least 12 very big and important temples, which are started by the Goswamis and which should be visited. And there's a song related to that, isn't there? What's it called again? Vrajadam Mahamimamrita, is it? Glorifying the different deities, Jai Radha Shama Sundar, Shamananda Prandana He, like that. One must circumambulate the temple building at least 3 times. It's not so easy here. You'd have to circumambulate a few fields as well, but it can be done. In every temple, there is an arrangement to go around the temple at least 3 times. Some devotees go around more than 3 times, 10 times, 15, according to their vows. The Goswamis used to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. One should also circumambulate the whole Vrindavan area. One must worship the deity in the temple according to the regulative principles, offering arti and prasad, decorating the deity, etc. These things must be observed regularly. Okay, so there's quite a few more items to mention. We can continue with that another time. Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, entitled The Lord Slays the King of the Demons, text 43. Shri Rishaya Uchu Tvam Nas Tapa Paramam Ata Yad Atma Tejo Tvam Nas Tapa Paramam Ata Yad Atma Tejo Yenedam Adipurushatma Gatam Sasarkta Yenedam Adipurushatma Gatam Sasarkta Tad Vipraluptam Amunadya Sharanya Pala Tad Vipraluptam Amunadya Sharanya Pala Raksha Grihita Vapusha Punar Anvamamsta Raksha Grihita Vapusa Punar Anvamamsta Shirishaya Uvacha. Sorry, Uchu, same thing. Tvam nastapa paramam ata yadatma tejo. Yene damadi purushatma gatam sasarkta. Tad vipraluptam amunadya sharanyapala. Raksha grihita vapusa punar anvamamsta. Shirishaya uchu. Tvam nastapa paramam ata yad atma tejo. Yene damadi purushatma gatam sasarkta. Tadvipraluptam amunadya sharanyapala. Raksha grihita vapusa punar anvamamsta. Please chant. Shirishaya uchu. Tvam nastapa paramamata yadatma tejo. Yene damadi purushatma gatam sasarkta. Tavi pralutam amunaja sharanyapala. Raksha grihita vapusa punaranvamamsta. Shirishaya uchu. Tamna sapa paramatma yadatma tejo. Yene damadi purushatma gatam sasarkta. Tadvi praluptam amunaja sharanyapala. Raksha grihita vapusa punaratma vamsa. Anyone else? Shirishaya uchu. Tvam nastapa paramamata yadatma tejo. Yene damadi purushatma gatam sasarkta. Tavi pralutamam raja sharanyapala. Raksha grahita vapusa punaranvamamsa. Shirishaya uchu. The great sages said, Tvam, you, na, our, tapa, austerity, paramam, topmost, ata, instructed, yat, which, atmateja, your spiritual power, yena, by which, idam, this material world, adipurusha, O Supreme Original Personality of Godhead, Atmagatam, merged within yourself, Sasarkta, you created, Tat, that process of austerity and penance, Vipraluptam, stolen, Amuna, by that demon Hiranyakashipu, Adya, now, Sharanyapala, O Supreme Maintainer of those who need to be sheltered. Rakshagrihita, Vapusa, by your body, which you accept to give protection. Puna, again, and Vamamsta, you have approved. Translation. All the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this way. O Lord, O Supreme Maintainer of those sheltered at your lotus feet, O Original Personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance in which you instructed us before is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create the material world, which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of this demon, but now by yourself appearing in the form of Nrsingadev, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity. Please repeat. All the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this way. O Lord, O Supreme Maintainer of those sheltered at your lotus feet, O Original Personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance in which you instructed us before is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create the material world, which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of this demon. But now, by yourself appearing in the form of Nrsingadev, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The living entities wandering within the jurisdiction of the 8,400,000 species of life get the opportunity for self-realization in the human form, and gradually in such other elevated forms as those of the demigods, kinnaras and charanas, as will be described below. In the higher statuses of life, beginning from human life, the main duty is tapasya, or austerity. As Rishabdev advised his sons, tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shudyet. To rectify our material existence, austerity, tapasya is absolutely necessary. However, when people in general come under the control of a demon or a demoniac ruling power, they forget this process of tapasya and gradually also become demoniac. All the saintly persons who were generally engaged in austerity felt relieved when Hiranyakashipu was killed by the Lord in the form of Nrsingadev. They realized that the original instruction concerning human life, that it is meant for tapasya, for self-realization, was reaffirmed by the Lord when he killed Hiranyakashipu. Om Agena Tamarandasya Ginanjana Salakaya Chakshun Militam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangam Lagate Grimnyat Kripatamam Vande Shigrim Dinitaranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Goda Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this way. O Lord, O Supreme Maintainer of those sheltered at your lotus feet, O Original Personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance in which you instructed us before is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create the material world which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of this demon, but now by yourself appearing in the form of Nrsingadev, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity. Interesting here because talking in plural, all the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this way. So it doesn't necessarily mean they all said the same thing in unison, but certainly it means that this is they have the similar mood, that they're praying like this. So the process of austerity here is mentioned a number of times. The word is three times there in the translation itself. And the point being made by the sages, the rishis, is that this process of austerity is established by the Lord, but the demons, they don't like devotees to do this, because they have this misconception that because the Lord's foodstuff is the austerities of the devotees, they think, well, if we stop the devotees performing austerities, we can starve out Vishnu, just like they're trying to siege him. Like just in Scotland, you have these old battles with castles, and whoever's the king of the castle would rule over the dirty wee rascals, as they say, or they would rule over the people. But if some invading force managed to get them to retreat into their castle, then they would just have to hope that they could lay siege to that, and eventually they'd have to give up because they would starve them out. So they're thinking that they will do this with Lord Vishnu, that if they can stop either they kill the Brahmins or they contaminate their sacrificial arena, etc., then Vishnu, the enemy of the demons, then will be able to kill him, because he subsists on this, so we'll starve him out. But they don't know that Vishnu is a maintainer of them as well. They don't see Vishnu as a maintainer of all living entities, all the planets. Everything rests on me as pearls strung on a thread. And so Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he's never manifest to the foolish or unintelligent. So even demons, they may be very intelligent, just like sometimes we're out preaching and we may not have sufficient knowledge to convince people or preach against their arguments because they're quite intelligent, but this is called Maya Pritagyana, intelligence stoned by illusion. They have intelligence, but they've given over to Maya. This is the nature of a living entity, that they can come under the control of Maya energy or Krishna's energy directly. But when the same person takes to Krishna consciousness, that intelligence can be used properly. Just like in Lord Chaitanya's time, there was many great scholars, sannyasis, etc. And they were talking like Mayavad nonsense. But when Lord Chaitanya converted them, then them and their followers and many after that became devotees. The human form of life, it's got such potential to do great good and great evil. And so this devotional service is a willing process. You hear it, Srila Prabhupada said, it's not a mechanical process. So it's not simply that we just do some mechanical thing and internally we don't change, or we still hold on to our material desires. We actually have to be willingly engaging in it. So every day we wake up, first thing we do is repair obeisances to our spiritual master, and that reminds us, where we are, what we're here for, what we're doing. So Srila Prabhupada has created this international society for Krishna consciousness so that devotees all over the world can wake up first thing in the morning, pay their obeisances to the spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada, come and see the deities, chant in the association of devotees, discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, take prasad, do service all day long, go to bed, dream of Krishna and start again. And at the end of it all, go back to Godhead. So this is what Prabhupada has given to this world. So important, this preaching movement. Even when Prabhupada was terminally ill, he left Vrindavan to come to the West. He came to Bhaktivedanta Manor, and you can see, if you ever visit the manor, you see a picture of Prabhupada. There's a palanquin in his room, and there's a picture of Prabhupada when he was on that. And he was certainly the picture of an emaciated sage. Actually, when he was ill, when he was at the manor, he got ill. He had some kind of infection. They took him to Watford General Hospital, and the doctors couldn't believe that someone could remain alive in such condition. They would say that one must be in extreme pain at every moment, but Prabhupada wasn't experiencing that. So the message there was that Prabhupada, although a Brijbasi by every sense of the word, he may not have been born in Vrindavan, but he's the Brijbasi. Actually, Prabhupada's godbrother, I think it was back to Pramod Puri Maharaj, said that when Prabhupada sung his bhajans, these melodies were for Vaikuntha. They were not melodies of the material world. So he's recognized as like Nitya, or eternal Brijbasi, not simply that he happened to get a good fortune and was born in Vrindavan, or happened to go there and just got accepted by the locals. There's, like Prabhupada used to say, you cannot buy a ticket to Vrindavan. And of course you can. You can go into Koli Travel in Woodlands Road and say, can I get a ticket to Delhi and then a taxi to Vrindavan? You say, yeah, okay, that'll cost X amount of pounds. But one time I was in Vrindavan, and there was one film crew there, and I can't remember where they were from, whether it was Europe or America, but one of the camera guys was just, he couldn't handle it. He was freaking out because of what he's seen as being poverty and open sewers and flies crawling on the kids' faces. But he didn't see beyond that. All he seen was externally. He'd bought a ticket to Vrindavan, but he never seen Vrindavan. So what is that ticket to Vrindavan then? Anybody? Could be. Yeah. Serving the mission of the Lord. So we gave a hint that when Prabhupada, he was living in Vrindavan, and he could have remained there. It was understood that he was going to leave his body. He could have just stayed there and went back to Godhead from there. But he showed the importance of the Lord's will. In every town and village, my name shall be heard. So even at that stage, then Prabhupada came to the West to show all the Brijbasis there actually that this is, yes, we don't just enjoy Vrindavan for ourselves, we take Krishna's Vrindavan to the whole world. So the goal is not to take everybody to Vrindavan 90 miles south of Delhi, but to bring Vrindavan into the lives of people. So that is there. Prabhupada says that these temples are oases of the spiritual world. Sometimes you notice that, especially if you're like in London and you're walking down Oxford Street, and then you take a turn into Soho Street, and then you see this restaurant Govinda's. Oh, what's this? You take the wrong turn. Instead of going at the restaurant, you go upstairs to the temple and you find yourself in the spiritual world. Devotees have given a few interesting stories. There's one man, a Chinese businessman, who every few months he comes and sits in front of the deities. He doesn't say anything or chant or anything. He just sits there taking in the darshan all day long. And after a few visits, devotee asked him, what you doing? He says, when the world gets too much, he just comes here and takes the energy coming from this altar. So just even without any knowledge, he happened to find himself there, and he got elevated by the deity's darshan. So this is something if we can appreciate, hold on to that appreciation, not take it for granted. So this is a constant battle, because we are living in the association of devotees, and sometimes we find that familiarity breeds contempt. And if that happens, we lose our appreciation for each other, we lose appreciation for the facilities of devotional service. We may even resent it. So we have to remember that when we come into the temple, we're signing up for this whole process of sadhana bhakti and going back to Godhead. This is the unspoken spiritual contract. And as it's a willing process, then we walk in the door because we're willing. Nobody kidnapped us and brought us here. And the door's open. We can come and go as we please. We have to understand that everyone here is here because they're willing to be here and respect that they've made that decision. And not be focusing on the differences or shortcomings of each other. But the commonality is that we're here to serve Guru and Krishna. And what is that service? It's to serve the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Mahavadanyaya Avatar, the most magnanimous incarnation. And that's because he was freely giving Krishna consciousness, pure love of God. And that's in the form of Harinam Sankirtan. You see sometimes in the books, you see a picture of Radha and Krishna and the gopis, and you see a kind of mirror picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates all in the same pose. So this is showing you this is this is how we achieve that. We take this spiritual world onto the streets and we give it to the people. And I don't know if any of you experienced it when you first seen devotees. It was just something out of this world, wasn't it? My own personal experience was the first time I remember seeing the devotees. I heard the Hare Krishna mantra on top of the pops, that famous song that the devotees and George Harrison did. And I kept on trying to figure it out. But every time I thought I'd got it, the words seemed to keep changing. And I thought that was quite good in retrospect because it meant you were really trying to listen to it. And maybe that's how I ended up here. But the first time I seen the devotees on the street doing Harinam, then it just... I didn't know the term at the time, but looking back, it blew my mind. I couldn't put a finger on it. I was thinking of these guys just landed from another planet, and looking back, yeah, they kind of did. Vaikuntha, or had they escaped from a loony bin? I was expecting to see, some guys coming around the corner chasing after them with a straitjacket or something. And I was quite intrigued by they had such enthusiasm. They all looked happy and free, and I thought, whatever it is they've got, then they seem to be pretty enthusiastic about it. And little did we know, these are great devotees of the Lord, and they're inspired by Srila Prabhupada carrying the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to every town and village and shining a light in this darkness of Kali Yuga into our hearts and minds. And we could see everybody on the street was like, well, what is this amazing thing? And I was intrigued by one of the drums they had, and I went to try to play it, and I got chastised. And I thought, oh yeah, these guys aren't just like some fools, they're actually quite sharp, they're with it. So I backed off. But still, I was watching them for a while. And it was interesting because years later, you read this bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he's describing Lord Chaitanya's kirtan party, where Lord Brahma was there, and Lord Shiva was dancing and chanting Hari Hari Bol, and there was others who, although they could not dance, in their hearts they were dancing. And I was thinking, I've seen the Harinam a couple of times before I joined, and I was thinking, it would be good if they come and sell us a book or something like that. So you wonder how many people out there feel the same, because it's natural the soul is attracted to Krishna. Krishna's all attractive, so we're just naturally attracted. Or if we're keeping deep-seated envy, then we're naturally envious. So here in the verse, it's mentioning basically this Pratanaya Sadhanam Vinashaya Chaduskritam, where the devotees are saved and the demons are vanquished. And reaffirming this tapasya for self-realization, dharma samstapanartaya, the re-establishment of religion. So this is typically what the Lord does when he arrives. And it's interesting because various incarnations are known as incarnations, but Lord Nrsingadev Prabhupada is Krishna in the form of Lord Nrsingadev. And as such, Lord Nrsingadev, he's Bhakta Vatsala, he's protector of devotees. And he's very keen to protect the devotees, especially when the devotees are engaging in the Sankirtan mission. None so dear as one who preaches my glories. So when we go out there to share Krishna consciousness with people, then we get the protection of the Lord. And we see, going back to Lord Chaitanya's time, Chand Kazi, how Lord Nrsimhadev personally appeared to Chand Kazi in his dream, and he chastised him quite severely. And we see also other times, I'm sure it happened in many places around the world, but we have some experience in Scotland and England and different parts of Europe where we hear stories of, we've seen occasions where Lord Nrsimhadev has protected the devotees. So it's not just like this is some kind of historical thing that happened millennia ago or some allegorical thing. The Lord is actually personally present, and he is very keen to protect the devotees who are trying to serve him and spread this mission. And in fact, I also heard that Lord Nrsimhadev plays a flute and he has his own rasa dance. And he also can give Krishna prema. It's not just like he's a functional Leela avatar or something like that, that he just comes, grabs a few devotees and whacks a few demons and he's back to Godhead. He actually can give Krishna prema as well. This is there in the Shastra. So this deity of the Lord Nrsimhadev, Prabhupada specifically says that this is Krishna. There's also another similar thing, and this is the effect of the pure devotee of the Lord, that he can give such benedictions, just like when he was in Scotland and he's seen the devotees were enthusiastically serving, even though the weather was terrible, and that was in the middle of summer, what to speak of the winter. And when he's seen the devotees going out in Sankirtan, he says, for doing this austerity, you get twice the benefit. So he can give that benediction. So know that when we're out there, whatever service we're doing to push forward this movement, then we're getting extra benefit for doing that. Also, when the devotees started worshipping Shalagram, they were talking about Vishnu, and they said, no, Krishna. And devotees were arguing, said, no, but according to these markings, it's Vishnu. He says, I'm saying Krishna. So that means you worship him as Krishna. And this is the Akama mode of worship. So Sakama means that we see all the different markings and we can worship like this and we get particular benefit. Also, as devotees, we can see the Shilas in their different forms too. But when the pure devotee says Krishna, and this is a fact that you can worship, and the Vaishnava can worship any Shalagram as Krishna. So if we're confused about what Shalagram it is, we just say Krishna. So this is, Prabhupada was wanting that we do this worship of Krishna. So, and he introduced praying to Lord Nrsimhadev for the protection of the spiritual master. Because he knows that Lord Nrsimhadev is very enthusiastic to protect the devotees. So this, the beginning of Purport Prabhupada alludes to this verse, Brahmanda Konya Bhagavanaji, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhaktilata Bij. How does that verse start again? Is that the start of it, Brahmanda? Is it not? Alright, so yeah, within this Brahmanda, the universe, or within the living entity, is not even necessarily restricted to one universe. Then we wander through 8,400,000 species of life. And after going through all these different species, we get a human form. And it was interesting that Dharmaseta Prabhu was describing the other day the higher stages of life beginning from the human life. So we think we're like was anthropocentric? We think that everything revolves around us. Sometimes personally and sometimes as a human species, and everything there is simply for serving our purposes. And we don't give credit that other species have got great intelligence to it, and we don't consider that there's anything higher than the human form of life which we see before us in our little frog in the well universe. And then if you speak about God, then you say, oh, nobody's come back to tell us. And you say, well, what if they did? Would you believe them? What if somebody has come back to tell us? So people, they make the choice, and they have to live with it and get the results. But I remember Sridharananda Maharaj giving a class. He was in India speaking to some students, and he says that if you chant Hare Krishna and follow these regulative principles, I guarantee in 6 months you will see a difference. So he was challenging to do it. And I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj also making the same challenge, and he said, I'll give you $10,000 if you do this for 6 months and you don't find any change. So I'm surprised that nobody took him up just to get the money off of him, but he was speaking with such confidence that if someone took to this process sincerely, then they would experience it. So otherwise, we're simply licking on the bottle, licking on the jar. So as devotees also, we shouldn't be bystanders. We have to experience Krishna consciousness. It's not simply a philosophy that we chew over and look for different ways to entertain ourselves. It's something we can put in practice, and it's very practical. Some of these other philosophies, like the Mayavad philosophy, it's not so practical. It's probably devotees and not locally, you do something else. This night, the language happens to like Mayavad philosophy. So the devotee, not only did he engage this Mayavadi by taking his lecture and spending it in Krishna's service, they instructed him how impactful this recipe was. There was a pastime Sri Prabhupada Prana, where some Mayavadi had came in and left a big pile of leaflets and asked them to be distributed. At the end of the class, Prabhupada had a devotee distribute them to all the devotees, and the devotees were wondering why is Prabhupada doing this, because it's a Mayavadi leaflet. So once they were all distributed, then Prabhupada instructed, okay, now turn the leaflet over and serve the sun. So the devotee is always the well-wisher. Even though Prabhupada would speak very strongly against Mayavadi philosophy and against so many other things like meat-eating and misleading leaders, etc. There was one senior cardinal, and Prabhupada was engaging with him in conversation, and though he was speaking strongly, it's not that he was inimical toward him. Prabhupada's mood is always to try to enlighten the people, try to benefit them, to engage them. So this is the mood of Lord Chaitanya, is to always be a well-wisher. Prabhupada would say that you're ever well-wisher. So we should try to take on that mood as well, be a well-wisher. And what's important here is, I remember Sri Rama was giving a talk not long ago, and he says that nobody achieved anything without austerity, without some discipline. If you think Krishna consciousness is just going to emerge one day, just by dragging our feet along, then no, we have to, as Shilbak Stanta Saraswati says, beat the mind in the morning with a shoe and with a stick in the evening, or was it stick in the morning, shoe in the evening? Which means we don't let it go at any time. From the moment we get up to the moment we take rest, we're engaging the mind in Krishna's service, and even if the mind is not happy, we engage it for our own benefit. Just like a child, sometimes the parent is trying to do something good for the child. The child is not happy with it, but the parent will, knowing what's good for the child, will do it anyway, and later on in life the child will probably appreciate it. So in the beginning our mind sometimes can be our worst enemy, but as we engage it, Prabhupada says that this sadhana bhakti process, it means to engage the mind as if by force. So it's not by force because we choose to do it. And then in due course of time, the mind becomes our friend and it starts giving ideas how to engage in devotional service. To begin with, it might be giving ideas how to get distracted from Krishna. It's like, oh, remember when you do this, life wasn't so bad out there after all. You know, it's too tough in the temple. You know, these guys are always just picking on you anyway. And I'll look at the state of him. He's trying to tell me what to do. But if we can catch a hold of our mind, engage it in Krishna's service, and this is the important message of Bhagavad Gita, regardless of what's coming and going, then we remain steadfast in our duty, and this is how we transcend the reactions of our past good and bad actions. And both are binding, actually, because we see here even the demigods, they're in such a higher position than a human. They're in demigod position because they've amassed great pious activities. So they're getting some reactions. But guess what? They're still in the material world. They didn't get out of the material world by performing all the pious activities. And they're enjoying very much. But the demons come along. In one sense, you can say, just like some adverse situation comes along in our life, it shakes us up a bit. Sometimes we see Krishna's hand in this, usually later, not usually at the time. And similarly, you know, when the demons create some agitation, then the demigods remember Krishna. So this could be a blessing in disguise. But as soon as their situation is relieved, then they remember the Lord for all, and then they want to get back to their enjoying again, because that was their motivation in the first place. So as devotees, then Prabhupada always discouraged us from this kind of karma kanda attitude, because I remember Bhagavan Prabhupada once said that you're on the threshold of eternity, don't turn back. So sometimes we perform devotional service and we feel some kind of relief from material distress, and we think, oh, perhaps I can enjoy better now that I can see clearer. I know how to enjoy without getting, I know how to go fishing without getting wet. I know how to enjoy without, I can go and enjoy in a mode of goodness. At least, you know, it won't be so bad as it was. But what happens is we have our karma when we leave the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, then karma comes back onto us again. You see that when devotees leave the movement, they don't look as if they've become happier by it. Unless, you know, simply they've maybe left an ashram and they become grihasta or something like that, and they're more rightly situated, that's one thing. But if people give up on it, then their happiness doesn't increase. They go back to where they were from. So this material world, it's been built, it's called Durgadam. And just as when they build a city, then they're not building it in mind thinking, okay, there's a certain amount of criminals here, we have to house them as well. They're actually building it thinking, well, we're hoping people won't break the law, but we know people will break the law. So it's there for those who break the law. But when they behave themselves, then they get back out of the prison again. So the material world is considered to be like a prison house. And even as devotees or the living entities, sometimes they get a glimpse of liberation or a glimpse of eternal life or a glimpse of spiritual knowledge. And even as devotees, sometimes we're still somewhat entangled. And this is likened to being like in the prison and you're looking out through the bars to the world outside. So for those who are seeing the devotees performing devotional service, Prabhupada mentions in the first canto that when one sees a devotee performing devotional service, or just like we're reading in the Nectar of Devotion, then one sees a devotee wearing tilak, then they're benefited. So if we're trying to be a devotee and people see us engaging in devotional service, they're benefited by that. They're looking through the bars And see, oh, what's that out there? It's like when I was in Glasgow as a young lad, and I seen the Harinam, I was looking through the bars thinking, what's that through the other side? So in this way, people will see us and they'll become devotees. And then people will see them and they'll become devotees. And Lord Chaitanya says there's devotees in every town and village. And how do we know that? We were there as well. And they're all jivas, all related to the Lord. There was one devotee giving class in Mayapur, he was saying that the souls are rotting in material existence, thinking when the Lord Chaitanya will come down my street and save me. So I know I've do that a few times, but that's the conditioned soul, rotting in material existence. And the devotees come down the street, chanting, giving out a book, giving out an invitation, giving out prasad. Then they're connecting these people with the Supreme Lord again. So these great rishis, they were very much appreciating that the Lord had allowed them to continue with their austerities. So the different persons who approached the Lord, they appreciated the Lord in different ways. And here, these rishis who were performing austerities, which was disturbed by the demons, and now they can resume their austerities without any interruption, because they're performing the austerities for the purpose of self-realization. So here, specifically, the Lord was protecting his devotees. So we'll just stop there. I didn't realise I spoke a bit longer, but anyone get any quick questions or comments? Kulshija? Yeah, well, one thing springs to mind that I remember reading. In fact, I think I was told that when I was a young devotee, then I think I was getting ahead of myself, and one devotee quoted Prabhupada said, the first deserve, then desire. There was one devotee who wanted to know what his constitution was. Prabhupada said, I think that's what it was, maybe you can correct me if you know the time. And Prabhupada says, first deserve and then desire. And of course, Prabhupada, he gave his Krishna book, when his health wasn't good, then he'd written Bhagavad Gita. I'm not sure what else he'd written before Krishna book. He'd done the first canto, of course. But Prabhupada wanted the devotees to have Krishna Lila, Krishna's pastimes, but he wrote it in such a way as that they would understand. He was qualifying the devotees, because you see that Prabhupada talks about that we should read systematically Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam from the first canto, just like you're taking darshan of the deities from the feet up to the face, and the face is the 10th canto. But Prabhupada wasn't jumping because he understood that Krishna's will, I could be gone today or tomorrow. But then he says, but let me give them Krishna's pastimes. We've given them philosophy. Prabhupada says, in the morning read philosophy, in the evening Krishna's pastimes. So in that way we can maybe dream of Krishna. But Prabhupada was qualifying the devotees. He wasn't just saying the pastimes, he was saying that one should not misunderstand these pastimes as being mundane, love affairs, etc. There's so many places there where he makes it clear that the Supreme Lord, um, it's the Supreme Lord that we're talking about here, who has not got a tinge of desire to exploit. Would you like to say something?
In India, the pastime of Krishna, or actually different objects in the topic. It's stories. They don't have the philosophy. They don't have the outcome. They experience what one has to qualify to really understand. And enjoy, if you want to use that word, the pastime of Krishna. As long as they're thinking it's something mundane. Not only do we not understand it, we can understand something brilliant as a devotional student. And just need to get ahead of yourself. That's the problem. One does not qualify. The prophet said you can't understand the concept of non-Krishna until you truth and embody the concept of love. And you're being verified in this application. Understand the information of the pastime of sorrow and step. Otherwise, one will ruin the devotional state.
Yeah, very good, thank you. And it kind of brings to mind, if you don't mind, we can discuss a little bit. It just brought to mind that we're not just supposed to read, the first 9 cantos as quick as possible to get to the 10th canto, but we're supposed to actually read and imbibe the message, just as we're supposed to read and imbibe the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, which is, first of all, I'm not this body. And if you even see when Krishna's first words are Aswachanam Vasochas Tvam, while mourning for that which is not worthy of grief, or while speaking in the words, you're mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. So he's establishing that. And he doesn't wait around to establish it, through another 100 verses. And into the bargain, you're also eternal individual. So he's just progressing from one step to another, but sometimes we haven't even got the first verse yet. So to go to something which is way more beyond us than I remember being advised to read the Bhagavad Gita many times and to read the first canto at least 3 times before going to the second canto. And I was thinking, no, I want to go to the second canto, but I thought, well, the person who was instructing me gave me good reason for it, and I did it. And years later, I've realised this has been beneficial because you get so much from going over the foundational teachings again and again, and you can remember it much more. It becomes very good support for anything that you're learning after that.
One example Prabhupada gave of taking it cheaply is he mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that there was a barber whose wife was named Radha. Every time he heard of Radha Krishna, he thought of his wife. Poor guy. His wife named Radha. He's very talented.
Yeah, I heard also, I don't know if I'm right here, but Prabhupada referred to the Krishna. Do you remember that? The Krishna? Because there was apparently also, there's many people with called Krishna, but he calls Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we did actually, it's interesting, there was one, we're on a volunteer program here, and there was one American lady came to visit. The people found out from our website, and when she came and realised it was a Hare Krishna temple, immediately she got upset and left. She said, "Oh, I thought it was just like some eco farm run by a guy called Krishna." I said, "Yeah, he is. He's on the altar." Anyway, she did a bit of padasevana. Okay, we better stop there. It's Ganga Govinda Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, Kantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.